Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to attempt to start my car after changing all these bits. So it feels like it would take me about a couple weeks to edit my cam tray DIY and my timing chain DIY. So I figured, why don't I just put up a clip showing the first start after changing all these parts. We did the rod bearings, we did the cams and cam trays, the timing guides, the chains, we did the crank hub, and we did the upgraded Teflon seals on the cam trays, both the timing chain guides, etc. So after replacing all this hardware, I'm doing my first start. I just bought some cheap oil for this, just to flush it. We'll run it for a few minutes, change out the oil filter and the fluid, and then again run it and make sure it's clean, and then we'll do a final fill with a third oil filter and synthetic oil. Only the best for oil you plan to run for about 10 minutes. I have my fuel pump disconnected right now, so we're just going to turn the motor over to build up oil pressure, and then we'll connect the fuel pump and give it a start. Sounded like I had good compression there and the timing is proper. Now let's connect the fuel pump. All right, fingers crossed. Hopefully this goes well. Good news. The N54 is back. Those are a lot of parts to replace for it to run perfectly, so that's kind of relieving. I'll let it run for a bit, build up some heat so we can flush the oil, and we'll take a look at it. I'm going to put it into a clean pan and make sure it looks really good. If I see any metallic sparkles, then of course we're going to flush it again. But I plan on doing that anyway. So I'll come back once the car is warmed up a little bit. Okay, the motor ran just for a few minutes. It's warm now. I'm going to take this off and take a look at the filter. It's looking good. Just some tiny specks of aluminum from the old guide, but you can barely tell. It's way better than before. So that's the oil that came out. Looks really clean. If anything, there's just some microscopic particles at this point. So we're in good shape. I'm going to move on to the second start with the new oil. Alright guys, I'm letting it run a little bit longer on the second batch of oil, but I gotta say it's running like a top. Sounds amazing. Okay, so the second batch of oil was crystal clear, or not clean, but like 0 particles in it. So we're in good shape. I'm gonna go fill it with synthetic now. So that's the reason why I flushed everything. As you can see, my guides are all gone, and the chain slapped into there and put aluminum particles throughout the engine. That's why I had to flush it a couple times to get this out. You have to take the crank hub out, and then if you're taking that out, you might as well do the chains, because the chains don't last forever. And then while you're in there, since you're locking the cams, you might as well do the cams and the trays because of the Teflon seal issue and these rectangular rings that dig into the cam trays with mileage. And then while you're in there doing the timing chain, you might as well change your rod bearings because they could have been damaged by that metal particulate, etc. And then it kind of just snowballs from there. And that's how we got this series. Alright, I got the car back on ground level now, and it's got the new synthetic oil in it. Let's see how it sounds. I can tell you pretty confidently that it's quieter than it was before. With the fresh chains and everything else. Alright guys, I'm very happy to report that the car is running mint. I've had no issues after putting everything back together. It feels great. Feels like the motor's a little bit quieter too. Maybe the tighter chains are making a difference. Now some of you guys may be wondering if I'm going to be keeping the Helix overdrive system and I am going to keep it because I like the idea of it integrating with my factory ECU and not running any external boxes to control fuel. I like that it's all in one, and it hasn't actually failed on me. It was just high mileage and my timing chain rails that let go. So what I would recommend to you guys, if you're considering the Helix system, happy with it, just keep in mind that if you have over 150,000 miles, whether you have a Helix 3 times or 4 times overdrive system, consider doing your timing chains for maintenance. I'm very happy that we're able to save the motor. Special thanks to the guys that donated. A few people donated toward the cam trays and toward this build. It's much appreciated. I had put a link in the description for that. And special thanks to Matt, who donated the cam trays. Some of you guys said that you'd be interested in donating toward seeing me build one of these motors and push it to the limit and showing you guys how to do it. Maybe in the future I'll set up a GoFundMe or something so you guys can keep track of how much is being raised. But if you want to see a bottom end be built on one of these cars, feel free to comment below and maybe we can plan for that, because I think that'd be pretty fun to do. Pistons, rods, maybe reinforce the block and just build one of these things to be bulletproof. I might have to actually upgrade my clutch and then maybe push these turbos a little bit harder, or maybe go single, etc. But I'm down. You know, if the parts are supplied, I'll do all the heavy mechanical work. I'm down for that. I love making content that's more in-depth. Like I said earlier in the video, the cam tray DIY and the timing chain DIY is going to come up as 2 separate videos. It'll probably take me a week or 2 to get those uploaded for you. That's why I wanted to throw this video up so you have something to watch. And I think I'll conclude the video there. If this is the first video you're catching of mine, please consider subscribing. I do upload regularly. Thanks for watching.